Next, we have the approval of minutes from the Somis MAC Committee meeting held on August 9th.
A motion that we approve the minutes.
Wait till I say are there any additions or corrections?
I'm sorry.
There's no additions or corrections. Jack would like to make a motion.
Second.
Tyler seconds that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's unanimous. Agenda review, is there any additions to the agenda? Okay. Thank you.
You can do that on the first time on the agenda. It's up to you.
This is a new streaming thing they're trying out for the very first time, and we may or may not have it work. But they're trying. We have the consent. Do we have to approve the agenda?
Yes. For items 10 and 11.
No, that's consent agenda. Do we have to approve the agenda for tonight?
No.
Okay. Okay, then we have the consent agenda items, basically items 10 and 11 further on down the thing. Is there any questions? Hearing none questions, is there a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion that we approve.
Jack
items
makes
10
a
and 11.
motion. Is there a second from Tyler? All those approve say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? It's unanimous. Public comments for citizens' presentation regarding Casa Conejo Municipal Advisory Commission. What's this Casa Conejo thing? What's the Casa Conejo thing? Does that involve us? Or is it on the agenda? Okay. Seven.
No, it's not.
Well, the officer, the Office of Ventura County Jeff Guerrero has comments for us. Brief announcement and reports on county activities.
Well, first I want to swear in our new member because we want to get her to be able to vote with everybody because it's amazing to the agenda.
Okay.
I'm going to come over here. Come over here. Do you mind joining me at the microphone? Everyone, this is Jennifer Amadei, and I've known the family for many years. She's agreed to serve on the Municipal Advisory Council, and I'm very excited about that. So thank you for your service to the community. Amadei, I just learned, and it makes sense, means love of God. And everyone anytime said that to me is more like, oh, for the love of God. Anyhow, but it's a beautiful last name, so I'm so happy you're serving. I'm Jeff Guerrero, by the way, Ventura County Supervisor, 2nd District. Honored to be here tonight to swear you in. Would you raise your right hand? We're gonna do this formally, and just repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Jennifer Amadei,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution
that I will defend and support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of California
and the Constitution of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of California,
and the Constitution of California,
that I take this obligation freely
and I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
and I will well
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties in which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, your new
Thank
MAC
you.
member.
Thank you.
That was kind of painless. I'm going back over here now. Is that okay? I forget we're on TV now. We're streaming this live on YouTube and also through my website at the County of Ventura. So a couple different places to see it. We'd like to get to the point someday where people can interact, maybe ask questions from home, but that's a level of sophistication that myself and my staff don't currently have. But anyhow, I just wanted to have an opportunity to brief the Municipal Advisory Council and the members of the public that have gathered. We recognize that tonight you're embarking upon your 3 to 5 year planning session. It's very exciting. Thank you for that. My staff and I are here to help with that process. We've done that with other municipal advisory councils, and I think is new for MACs, for us to get you to feel, to think about the strategic plan that you'd like to move forward. A couple other things we've done recently. I brought a board letter that moved $10,000 to support a countywide diaper bank that is critical for our underserved and low-income families that, particularly during COVID and since COVID, found themselves not being able to afford diapers. We've been working with the sheriff and the district attorney, as well as the director of public health and other organizations on developing solutions to attack fentanyl, to address the fentanyl crisis that's going on in the nation. The coroner, well, in this county we call him the medical examiner, reports that every day at least one body comes in from somebody in Ventura County who's dead because of synthetic opiates like fentanyl. And if you look at places on the East Coast, they're really going through crisis. So we had a summit recently. We also moved $3.4 million to various programs and to the crime lab, to the district attorneys, and to the sheriff's department for resources specifically to focus on the war against fentanyl, to make sure that what's happening in some East Coast cities doesn't come here to Ventura County. You may have heard that we're making some progress on the dilapidated fence. We're working with VCTC, the fence that everyone's complained about that has the tagging on it. Yeah, I know it's been an issue for many years. We've got updates actually tonight that aren't on this piece of paper. So I'm going to turn it over to Israel Rodriguez, staff member from my office, to give a quick update on where we are on the fence, because it's fresher information than what I have to share.
Well, you guys threw out the challenge, and so we heard you. And I received a number of phone calls and emails. We understand. I mean, this is the first thing you see as you're coming into Somis. It's an eyesore. So we did open up the communications with Union Pacific, which is also, this particular line is Southern Pacific. But they have given us a timeline, 6 to 8 weeks. We're in discussions right now on the difference between removal and versus repairing. We're pushing for removal of the fence. We also understand the clearing of all the debris in the area and the overgrowth. So we're on top of it, and we're working hard. And the good thing is that there is communication going on in terms of a timeline for you guys. So, yeah. Well, thank you guys.
It's a nice
Thank
little-
you guys for being concerned citizens, and really, it's very important that we hear from you. So, thank you for reaching out to us.
Yeah, hold us accountable in 4 to 6 weeks if they haven't done anything, and then 6 to 8. There you go. We'll go down there ourselves and take action if we have to. So,
Gee, that corresponds
think it's
with our
8 to
next
10.
meeting.
there you go. Right.
Actually, I
Perfect.
think it's 8 to 10, but
Perfect timing.
We'll take the challenge.
Sure, of course. Yeah, no problem. Is anyone on the MAC familiar with this particular house?
No.
Yeah, it's on the other side of the
Yeah.
bridge.
Okay. Israel's writing it down. We'll take it back and see if it's, if there's any complaints against it or any action by the county as it relates to being a nuisance, or if there's any updates we can get whatsoever on it. So we'll find out and have some more information for you at the next MAC
Thank you.
if we can.
Well, on your close to the school comment, yes, it is close to the school, but if I was a parent, I wouldn't let any child of mine walk across that bridge there, because you got about that much between the fog line and the blacktop curb, and about that much. Really? Are they hanging onto the sign so they don't fall in? Well, I'd advise anybody who is doing that. I mean, when I was a kid, it was about this wide, but it's kind of sloughed off over the years.
mean, the guy owns it. I mean, I don't think you can make somebody fix their house if they don't want to. But no, the same guy's owned it for 30 years.
Yeah, we'll look into it. We'll look into it.
I think if you look into it, if it has anything to do with that Barranco there, like people have problems with putting a room addition or a garage along North Street on the Barranco side, the county's not real, or the watershed control district, I don't know which one it is, but it's a battle to get that done because of the Barranco.
Our staff will work, Bob, it sounds like Bob and Tyler have some information on it. We'll reach out and try to work on it. We're working with Somis Church, Ventura County Planning, and agricultural interests to put together a plan going forward to help reopen the Somis Preschool located at Somis Church. Recently held meetings with local church leaders and key county staff. Very positive meetings so far. We're pretty pleased with the progress there. Anyhow, we realize it's a preschool and not the biggest issue, but it's important to a lot of key families, and we've heard loud and clear that people want it open. I've been working with our county librarian and the library staff to try to address a concern that is basically that there's a gap, and that some community members have reached out and expressed the desire to have closer access to library resources. There is a library in Camarillo. It's not too far away, but it's still Camarillo. It'd be nice to have more resources locally. So we're exploring different options. Including an express library in partnership with the Somis School District, more access to the mobile libraries, make sure that they're here more often. We're launching a youth-targeted, specific mobile library that we're going to try to bring here to Somis as often as we can. And so, there's a couple of different things we're working on associated with that, including access to more traditional books and e-books, and to check out laptops, and to have access to Wi-Fi hotspots for home usage, which people can check out for 2 weeks and take back to their home if they need Wi-Fi or if they need to help improve the Wi-Fi they currently have in their home. So that's the county mobile units, and we'll continue to serve the Somis area. We're going to push on them to be here more often than they normally would be. My team has been working with Caltrans to put into place enhanced safety measures that include yellow chevron striping and rumble stripes to help prevent motorists from crossing the double yellow lines into oncoming traffic at the Balcom Canyon and the 118, which has been an issue, and we've heard that. We're anticipating that's supposed to happen soon. Have we get any update from Public Works on when that's going to happen? Or on Caltrans, rather?
It's scheduled for November.
Let's get November. And last but not least, I'll just say that the county recently passed our budget. Overall, it's a balanced budget. It's a conservative budget. We still have the best rated municipal bonds of any county can receive as a result of the balanced budget that we put forward. It focuses and prioritizes kind of in new ways, I think, on public safety and on infrastructure, and on moving forward projects that have been stalled for a while, and moving forward with some of the demands or interests by the sheriff, the DA's office, probation, and other agencies that make up public safety. So that's that completes my comments, unless there's any questions from the MAC. No? Thank you.
I see none.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity.
Number 9 on the agenda is council comments. Do we have any comments from the council? Any items for future agendas? I would like to have a Caltrans guy here for the next meeting, so we can figure out why they've been digging holes along Somis Road and have the project between Sand Canyon and Falcon. What other projects they have going?
Mr. Chair, we also have Dr. Bachman.
Would he like to say something? You may.
behalf of the trustees and our staff, welcome to our school. As you guys have noticed, we're embarking on a beautification project that is going to happen over the course of the next 6 to 8 months, starting with our kinder, wrapping around to our landscaping here. A school is very representative of the city, and I think that Somis is a tight-knit community, and I think we need to project that as it applies to our school. Supervisor Gorell, thank you so much for being so active from the minute you hit office, reaching out. Israel has not stopped his visits to our school, and it's not just to hear he's taken action, as you just shared with our folks. The library is an issue. We've got high schoolers who definitely would take advantage of services if we expand. Our big challenge right now is the staffing. So Gene Bricker, who serves our library during the day, can definitely reassure you that if we had somebody who staffs it, even to the degree of 3 to 6, which is where we have our extended day, over 50% of our kids are taking advantage of our extended day, and that's unheard of nationally and statewide. They're here because we offer a great program. It's physical ed, it's robotics, and it is definitely support. So with that, I'd like to share with you, if I may, what we're looking at phase 2 with our improvement. So I'm going to project on the TV. You're all part of this community. You're welcome to come to our school, whether you have children or not. We are very high on partnering with all of you and to make sure that we listen to you as a community here. So I'm going to connect. It's going to take a couple of minutes.
And also waiting in the wings, we have a CHP representative, Officer Orr.
Inspection facility at the top of the grade.
We'll get back to him when he gets ready.
Last meeting, I think, when I attended, one of the questions was on the 118, why was the speed limit down to 25 going through the construction by the facility that we have? After getting a hold of Caltrans, it was an error on the speed. It should not have been 25. It should have actually been 45. If you drive by now, you'll see that it doesn't even show a speed. It just says slow down. Apparently, they don't have the number 4. So we're in the process of trying to get them to hurry up and get that out. Thank you for pointing that out. We had already been in talks with them prior to that. So that's that. That construction on that side, we call that the eastbound facility. That's going to have a whole bunch of new construction with a building, a new weight scale to get the truckers that are going eastbound on 118. Problem is that's going slower than expected. It's a new contractor for the state. It's not used to doing stuff. So projection is 2024 sometime on that one. As far as the westbound side, that's going to stay open for as long as we have the ability to keep it open. So we're constantly having officers running that, keeping that going. You've noticed our facility on the northbound 101 and southbound 101. Right now, our northbound facility is under construction. When they completed the southbound, they shut down the northbound, and that's supposed to open up hopefully mid-November. We should be open up, which means we'll have both sides of the 101 completely open. With the officers who aren't working the northbound side, it gives us a couple extra officers. We've been deploying them to Santa Rosa Road, 118, other places within the county to kind of surprise truckers that are trying to bypass any of these scale facilities. I think that's about it. You guys have any questions for me?
I got one for you. From the light to Falcon,
Solis Road.
34 Somis Road, like, there is a spot where it goes broken line for passing in an area where there's 2 turnouts, right, where you could turn onto the highway and they allow cars to be passing. Yes. And I know they were gonna start a project, Caltrans is gonna start a project. Is there any way that you guys can get with Caltrans when they're doing that project to make that solid double yellow? Cause it's really unsafe for the 3 private driveways, there's 3 actually. we've mentioned to it once and it kind of fell on deaf ears. So
So,
coming from you guys, sometimes it's a little bit stronger.
we meet them at the next meeting so we can figure out when the process is gonna start.
Okay.
And then we can look at it from the safety standpoint to go with it, and give our suggestions to them, and then their engineers figure out what's the next step.
Okay.
We'll have them on the
Perfect.
agenda.
Anything else?
Okay, back to Dr. Vaca for visual presentation.
This again is baseline, work improvement curve over the next, 6 to 8 months.
Okay. We're already past that.
A couple of key features we're thinking of, obviously, the conservation of water. The design is going in. We don't know where we're going statewide. We had a pretty good season last season, but that's not feasible to look into the future. And second, and most important, we wanted to make sure that it was open to all of you as community members to come during the weekend or after hours so you guys can share the improvement here. None of this would have happened without your vote and confidence as you passed the last bond. We thank you on behalf of kids, because that's what it's all about, is we're working together. And even if you don't have children here, I think it's a benefit to our community when kids can come to a safe space. So with that, again, on behalf of the trustees and our staff, thank you so very much. Please come and visit anytime. We're always open. And again, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vaca. Officer Gonzalez from the Sheriff's Department.
Good evening. All right, I got the safety report for the community of Somis. Actually, it's the community of Camarillo / anything around it, because the safety report I'm trying to give to you is your property, your theft of wallets, theft of your retail, Camarillo area, because of the outlets and just because of the way the city is centralized, has been hit with several thefts, especially at retail, at the outlets. But also, more concerning for the residents is we've been having thefts from directly from shoppers at the stores, where pickpockets are coming to you either by distraction or by funneling you through aisles and somehow getting close to you, somehow bumping into you. And we have had several victims lose their wallets, and what they do is they immediately go and use your credit cards and take your money away. So we're asking the residents to be especially extra alert with anybody inside the store or around you, anybody that's trying to distract you or has consistently wants to ask you questions and you already told them the answer. So just be very alert. The other alert that we want to give you is with banks, whenever you withdraw money, ATM or inside the bank itself, of money were withdrawn, and nobody knows, of course, one of them was a business owner, the other one just a regular resident, and they were followed, and for some reason, within 5 minutes after they made another stop, of course, they left the money inside of the vehicle, their car was broken into. So we're asking the residents to be very aware of your surroundings when you're withdrawing bank money from the ATMs or inside the bank, just to make sure who's around you and who's following you. If anybody, if you see anything suspicious, please call 911. It doesn't matter if it's not somebody that's actually committing the theft. At least we can check them out. Okay? Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Israel suggested that I have Jennifer tell a little bit about herself,
Oh,
if you would like
thank
to.
you for the warning.
Ma'am? I just got the notes, so I imagine you remember about yourself, so I don't
A
think
little
it's a
bit.
big speech.
A little bit. Jennifer Amodei. I own my own interior design firm, and my dad passed away about 6 months ago, and he strongly believed in Somis. So I'm here to honor his legacy and make Somis beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next two items on the agenda are on the consent agenda, the California Highway Patrol Safety Report and the Ventura County Fire Department Report. And then we go off to, well, number 12, we've already done with Jennifer being administered the oath. And number 13 is legislative subcommittees. What do you got to say about that, Israel?
Actually, this was an idea of the supervisor to really broaden the scope for the MACs, be able to be more involved in county issues directly, and especially issues that affect your community. And so as a result, this legislative committee is being formed, and you'll have automatically the chair as part of that committee, and part of your role tonight is to select another member that would join and be a member of that legislative committee. But it's really, you'll be reviewing the agenda items that you'll see on the Board of Supervisors agenda, and reporting to the supervisor before that meeting, his next meeting, on anything that you find pertinent to what you want the supervisor to know. And so it gives you direct access to the supervisor and to our staff on issues that the county is looking at.
Along those lines, what is when would he have his meetings? Would it be daytime, evening time, could include people or exclude people if they have jobs, if you know what I mean?
Maybe I can add a
Before
few.
you answer that, I'd like to just nominate the guy that's retired. They could be at any meeting, anytime. I have a second.
Okay, hold on. Go ahead.
Excuse me, usually every other Tuesday, not always, but most of the time, every other Tuesday, the Board of Supervisor meets, and we vote on anywhere between 45 to 60 agenda items. Some of them are small, some of them are big. A number of them have impacts on Somis. The public gets advance copies of the agendas usually the Wednesday before that Tuesday meeting. I get the agenda the Wednesday before. I look at it the same time the public does. Some of the things on there I anticipated coming. Some of the things are a complete surprise to me. It's just the nature of the way this county runs. And I think what would be helpful is this legislative committee we can get you on the list so that you receive in an email that advanced draft of the agenda that we'll be asked to vote on the following Tuesday. Look it over. See what issues on there are important to you, to the MAC, to the community. And then that legislative committee can, even in between your own MAC meetings, can work to develop a position and send that position to me directly, saying, this is coming up on Tuesday. The community has spoken loud and clear on this issue, and this is how we feel about it. we would strongly encourage you to vote yes, vote no, defer it if you can, to continue the matter for another month so we can get some more feedback on it. What I'm trying to do is empower not just this MAC, but all the MACs to be more involved in identifying these agenda items. Some of them are millions of dollars. Some of them are hundreds of millions of dollars in expenditures, to play an important role in opining on them before they come to me for a vote on the dais. Does that make sense? Am I missing anything? And so it would make a lot of sense to get your feedback on those key items rather than waiting for the next MAC meeting and just kind of getting public feedback on the things you've been hearing about. So unless there's any questions on that, that's kind of my spin on it. It'd be very helpful for me and my staff.
My only concern would be that in between MAC meetings, whoever's on that committee is kind of making decisions on their own rather than with a majority of the board. If you know what I mean.
I think there's a workaround on that. I think we talked to the county council, and that committee, by way of email, can email the broader MAC, and the MAC can respond to an email and take a position on it, and then send that position to me. The MAC is not a Brown Act organization. It is not going to be held to the higher standard of a city council or a board of supervisors. So any kind of feedback is helpful, even if you're not able to get the full MAC board, but even just feedback from the legislative committee. But there are steps to get more of a formal vote and send that to me. Especially if they're no-brainers, right? This is not going to work. We're not putting in an international airport in Somis. We're not doing this one. I can't support that, Jeff. We need you to vote against it. Whatever it is, it may come up. Did I miss anything, team? Yeah, sure.
Supervisor Gurrell here I'm Mark Perryman. I'm Supervisor Gurrell's Chief of Staff. To Supervisor Gurrell's point, the agenda has a number of different items from over 28 different departments that the supervisor oversees along with the CEO. Each of those departments, it could be everything from the airport, as you mentioned, to the fire department, to the sheriff's department, to public works items, watershed protection. There's environmental health items on there, agricultural items from the agricultural commissioner, and weights and measures items. So there are broad-ranging items that the supervisor is responsible for. So getting Somis's feedback, for instance, on a medical center item or the future of the fire department and specific directions that where folks are going with the fire department or suggesting, and receiving that public input is critical. But further to the supervisor's point, this is actually open to the entire public. So the public is 100% invited to participate in every Board of Supervisors meeting that happens, as you mentioned, every other Tuesday. You can also subscribe online to receive the agenda notifications, but the purpose of this item is the supervisors inviting the chair of each individual MAC, all the other MACs are already subscribed to it, to participate as a part of this legislative committee to kind of opine on what is kind of the SOMIS focus. And then in addition to that, if there's another member of the MAC that would also like to participate in that or be the alternate in the event that the chair is unable to make it, that's kind of what we're looking for today.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
I would.
Go ahead.
I would like to nominate Bob Fulkerson along with Pat Richards for the legislative subcommittee.
I second that.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. We've done the update on the dilapidated fence. Update for public works requests in Somis. Israel, is that you? Because I have no information
That
except
is.
what's written here.
Okay, I have over here some some cards, and I want to hand these out. I think we did this before, but just in case if you don't have this, Public Works has an app where you can report an issue, such as a pothole, illegal dumping, if you guys want to just, and pass them around. In this case, in the last month, we received a report. This last month, I think you had 30 requests that came through this portal. Out of the 30, you had 25 that had been closed out. Most requests involved water leaks, illegal dumping, and road maintenance, so potholes, things like that. But you can also use it for graffiti removal, waste management issues. And as you go online, it's really very helpful. It's very easy to use. You give your name, you report what the issue is, and then now you have an automatic record that takes place. We also see these items as well. So we receive a report, and we can pull up and say, okay, how many of these issues came up for the Somis area? So we encourage you to make use of this. And really, anything that you see, it's a part of making, the beautification has come up a couple of times in the meeting tonight. So it's part of making your community safer, more beautiful, and it's a way for you to be involved on a regular basis. So you can go, you can see right now, you can use your phone, you can go to your app store and you can download it, but you can also go online. The link is there online, and you can also get a hold of it that way. So any questions? You have? So to that, actually, I'm going to turn this over to Mark Perryman, who's involved with some of this as well.
I'm sorry. So Public Works app. So it's
The enhancements.
I think I heard there was a question from the audience on the user friendliness of the app and that kind of those kinds of levels of comments. We're 100% interested in all of that feedback. The big thing here is that this app has been around for some time, and it seems like a lot of folks in the community aren't necessarily aware of it being around. So we want folks to be aware that you can download it on either the iOS or Android app store right now. On your way home or when you get home, you can actually report different items that come up. If something's not user-friendly, we're really interested in that feedback, and the Public Works team is actually interested in improving that app as well. So connect with Israel after the meeting. Just let them know any kind of feedback that you might have. But this is your fastest way to actually influence change into the community. And the reason for that is this is a staffed system where Public Works is literally receiving whatever is your request. They're assigning it to a member of their team to look into it, and very promptly they're reassigning it to the appropriate agency within the county to handle, or reassigning it out to a partner agency such as Caltrans or someone else. So want to encourage the public to use it. As Israel mentioned, 30 different requests. I think in the last month,
25
of them have been closed out. This month, we've started to include it as a part of the agenda so the public can see kind of the quantity of these requests that are coming in. Going forward, we'll print in and allow in the back of the packet visibility into, what are some of these requests that are coming in? Is it a road repair item or a pothole that's been repaired or something else? That way, if it stays open for some time, you have visibility to it, and you can ask us questions about why it's taking so long to resolve it. We can kind of drive that forward for you. But if you take anything away from this, please download the app. If you don't have a smartphone, you can go to the Ventura County Public Works website, and there's a link there as well to submit your feedback. Oh.
The key, yeah. The QR code there is a little different. The app, when you go to the app store, that part is correctly working. Yeah. Mark's being humble. The reason why is Mark recognized some of the user friendly issues, and he's working very closely. So I try to give him a plug there, but anyway, in our offices, thank you for your comment.
Don't you love how the streaming system puts you on this spot immediately?
I'm sweating.
Next, number 16 on the agenda is the 3 to 5 year Somis plan and area plan. So this is Israel's baby.
Okay, if you've been here in the past meetings, you already know that your Somis MAC voted in the concept of completing and planning putting together a 3 to 5 year plan. This came out of the conversation with Chair Pat Richards. When we first met, he brought up the concept of an area plan. Said that a number of communities have an area plan. Ojai has an area plan, and we went through that process and showed you some of the area plans. An area plan is an excellent idea, but the 3 to 5 year plan is a broader scope. So the area plan is typically land use, which there's a great need for that. Currently, you do not have an area plan, so it's something gives you an idea to look at planning the future. And area plans do trump the general plan. So it's very important to understand this. It's your ability to say, this is what we feel our community should be like in the future. I know the rural aspect of Somis is very important and maintaining that. And so that's your statement, is your area plan, and it takes a while. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. But a bigger picture is also this concept of a 3 to 5 year plan where you incorporate other issues such as crime, traffic, some of the things that you're not going to see in an area plan. So by doing a 3 to 5 year plan, you do not limit that that you can do an area plan. So the conversation started off with an area plan, evolved to a bigger scope, and today, this is after the voting in, this is really the first, if you guys can share at times, print it up. You guys can that'd be great. Thank you so much. So this is a macro, this is the starting point of a plan. If any of you guys have ever put together a strategic plan, you start with the macro, the bigger picture. But in order to do that, you need the worksheet that you have before you and that you're going to be receiving. It helps in that macro planning process. So the first thing that you have before you is called a SWOT analysis. You may have done one with your business or maybe in school. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And that's generally what I found in a lot of the consulting with businesses and organizations. It's the conversation starter. It's what helps you to put in a framework what are the things that are priority. On the next page, it's an exercise of prioritization where you're going to start off with a SWOT. You're going to list as many things. And in the second half of this is where you begin to say, okay, what are the priority of all those things that we've listed? I am so excited because we've talked about this. The members of the MAC have very much wanted public input. This is not something where it is just the members. Obviously, they're going to be very involved in this, but your input and the collective input is extremely important to us. The role of the MACs was originally set up to advise the supervisor. So in the unincorporated areas such as Somis, you don't have a city council, but you do have a municipal advisory council. And the role that collectively everyone plays is to come forth with what are the priorities that you see for your community. So this document is very important, and this is the starting process. So what we're going to do is I was thinking we're going to do this in a circle or whatever, however you want. It's very involved. So you guys can team up together. You can form groups of 3 or 4 or 5. We can do it openly, but we will collect this information, and at the next meeting, we'll begin the next phase, which is building a vision statement. So out of this, you're going to start to see themes that will come up. And in those themes, then, you'll be able to then start making statements. This is what Somis stands for. This is our vision for Somis. And so part of this is looking at 3 years and 5 years and even 10 years. You're not limited in this process. But it's about being proactive, not being reactive. So does everyone have one of the forms in front of you? Yes, everyone have it? Okay, I have pens. So I brought pens. And what you're going to do is take this, take this time to thank you guys, together to look through this. And we did this at another MAC meeting, and the conversation afterwards is also, you guys have a pen. Did you get it for him? Okay. Okay, who else needs a pen? Need a pen? All right. Do you guys need a pen?
No.
No.
Could I
Okay.
make a suggestion that
Yes.
maybe they can take them home and work on them for 4 or 5 days and maybe come up with some things they wouldn't think about here and
The plan tonight
mail
is
them to you?
to get it started, but they can come back with it. And it's absolutely, yeah, I would like them tonight
Oh, yeah.
to start it, but they can take it home. So. What's that? Okay, so one of the suggestions that came up tonight is, can you take this home? You absolutely can. But I would like tonight, this is what we did the other MAC meeting, is come up with some of the ideas. Now, strengths, okay? Let's just start off with that. We can even do a show of hands. You can talk about this out loud. What are some of the strengths that you guys feel you have in your Somis community? Just anyone. Yes. Here you go. So, close-knit community, absolutely. That's an excellent comment. Yes. You do. In fact, if you look at some of the maps of Somis that go back 100, 150 years, you won't see anything else, but what do you see? You see Somis, then you see. So, strong identity in farming? Okay. That's a good one. Excellent. See, you guys, this is fun. Don't be shy. Yep. So if you expand on that, what are some of the things that have remained the same as you start to build that out? Okay. You do have a business that's been here since 1892? Yeah.
2 of them, actually.
Large lots. You guys are writing this all down, right?
Hmm?
Large lots, privacy, very important, isn't it?
Started blacksmith
Yep.
shop in 1892,
No.
then went to hardware in 1912. So he essentially started both of them at the same time.
Now, where would you put that? Would you put it as a strength? Is it also a threat? Okay. Yeah.
County plan. It doesn't exceed the feds in the state, though.
Mhm.
Would it help? It would help.
Right. You're, now, some of the things you're saying go in the strengths. Some can also be a strength and a threat, right? Yeah. And also things can be an opportunity. So you can kind of see how this exercise works. And maybe, when you go home, but I definitely would like to collect some of the information tonight from you. But continue on. This is real important. Yep. Okay, so there you go. Now you see how this works. Did you put it down? You have to put it down. All right. All right, you guys are quiet over here. Slow growth. Is that a threat then? Yeah. Got it. Got it. Yep. You put that down, please. See, these are the things that can come up because we can work on some of these things through our office. Okay, traffic.
that comes through here is not, you know, they're going from more part Simi Valley to Oxnard, or, so we're kind of stuck in this area, excuse me, where we're getting a lot of people, and sometimes, you know, I don't think we really get crime from that, but, you know, there's.
But it's one of the
basically-
weaknesses, right?
I mean, I live on North Street, we all know, if you live on North Street, they cut through, they speed, and it's not our people, it's somebody else. So the threat is the growing communities around us.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody talked about the traffic that's gonna be a concern with the new.
And write that down, because if that's one of the
Right.
concerns that you
Yeah.
have. What you're saying is the other communities are growing and they're impacting you, and they're impacting your roads, they're impacting some of these, maybe crime. So how do you combat that? So this is where the next step comes in, where we begin to start forming strategies. You start putting prioritization to these. More, you guys? More comments? This is good, you guys. Keep it up. Here.
Some of the roads need speed bumps from others coming through too fast, and one example is La Cumbre Road.
So would you put that as maybe an opportunity? You know, it's partly a threat and a weakness, but we can have maybe an opportunity to form a strategy to make the road safer by putting in some of the speed cushions. Yeah. You guys having fun?
Israel?
To, you know, broadcast, I mean, people can probably email you too, right, if they have concepts that they don't want to discuss in the forum?
Yes, they can. And I'm not trying to put anyone on the spot, but you guys are a community. The more and more that you interact the way you are right now, the easier it becomes. And then you'll invite other people, and that'll grow. This really needs to be something that this is Somis for Somis kind of an opportunity. So we want to be able to help you out in that process. Yes. Actually, they can go to our website. You know, I'm going to give you my email for that. So my personal email is Israel, ISRAEL, .Rodriguez, RODRIGUEZ, @ventura.org. And anyone that's watching, you can go ahead and email me. I can email you one of these forms, and would love to have your feedback in that way. Thank you.
Or as a citizen, you could make copies of them and take them to your neighbors and say, hey, I'll be back in 2 days to pick them up and bundle them up and mail them in. Anything you can think of like that, that's fine.
So a couple of things. We are going to be putting this out there. We are enhancing our website right now. We will be kind of just designing our own website. They'll be more community-based, be a chance for you to interact directly. And so, in fact, our Chief of Staff, Mark, right now is in the process of building that out. So, yeah, as he talks. But that'll be another chance for you guys. Also, on the second page, the priority side. So if you are going to take this home, you're going to take what you've listed. Maybe you have 10, 15 things that you've listed in your strengths area. Well, what are the top 3? And then take a look at both the short term, you'll see on that page, what is the immediate concerns right now that are impacting you? I know you have them because I receive those emails. So I receive those phone calls. So there are top of the mind of things right now that you are concerned about. We obviously, I know what some of those are, but we'd like to know what are what are they? For instance, sidewalks for kids. I've heard a number of times we want to increase or enhance the safety of our children that are walking to school. So that may be an example of an immediate area. Have you noticed we recently put in pedestrian enhancements to help protect as they're going across the road? So those are things that can be done in the short run. The long term, you'll see also on that page is, what do you see as priorities over the next 3 to 5 years? And it can be out of the box. I'm telling you, Dr. Vaca, I love him because he comes to me sometimes and says, hey, I have this dream. I really have this idea that I want to have housing for teachers. I want to be able to have a brick and mortar library, and the supervisor, I know that's one of his goals as well. So this interim step is an express library. We've heard about your internet service north of the 118, okay? So it's your chance to really look at how do you see Somis in the future. You want to maintain, I keep hearing that, you want to, protect the soul of Somis, which you have over the years. But there are things that you can do to also improve safety, protect yourself against crime. One of the threats that we are dealing with some of the other areas, it doesn't take much. You go to Los Angeles, and you'll see that there's the gypsy caravans that have formed. How does Somis protect themselves against something like that happening? So those are things to be looking at. Even though it's not happening as much right now, it could be a concern in the future. You guys are quiet. Any questions? Does this seem that it's been helpful? Does it help get the process, the planning process started? The next thing is start to build your vision. The prioritization goes into strategies. We begin to bucket those strategies. We begin to develop the plan. You go short term, we go long term. As we build this together, then we work on things like the area plan, which is another subset of this. And as we do that, then the supervisor will receive, what the plan is for Somis, and then it gives us as an office and the supervisor a chance to fight for those things.
I had a thought about the architectural integrity of Somis and what we could do to protect it and also enhance it, just the actual main strip of it, keeping the colors consistent and the architecture.
That's excellent.
honoring, yeah.
And you do see a lot of towns that have done that. Some of the towns are going back and refurbishing themselves, but they're doing it in a way that keeps I come from Monterey, and Monterey was one of those towns that really struggles with that. They want to protect the integrity of that look, particularly towns like Pacific Road. And how do you maintain that? What about tourism? I don't know if you guys want, that's something you can put on there. I don't even know what that would be like. That's probably a big no. I see a lot of people saying no. Okay. So that's a threat.
My family's from Canada, so we're immigrants, but also familiar with farming, obviously. And my dad's always asking questions, and it's funny because my neighbor, his mother's a Flynn, so I got the whole story on the Flynn family, and that's interesting to people that come from out of the area. Like you see Flynn Road, and there's all the names that you recognize of the families that are the founding families. So I was thinking like maybe a cultural center in the little downtown Somis that talked a little bit about the original families. It's on the list, yeah.
Who's the original families?
I mean,
Did you put it in on that?
yeah,
Yeah, he's the
I heard
original
he knows my
family.
neighbor. Yeah. He knows everything.
That's excellent. Any others, you guys, before I know we're getting... Yep.
Just one, which is a weakness or a vulnerability, I think, is the pressure that other communities are putting on Highway 118 and 34. If we want to maintain the community at downtown Somis, it's imperative that we find an alternative to widening the street, knocking out businesses that have been here since 1890s, ruining the country living feel that we have here in the Somis community. So I think that's a big vulnerability or weakness that we have.
That's excellent. In fact, that's one of the reasons why this whole process started, was out of conversations just like that. And that's also kind of where your area plan comes into play as well. Because as you develop the overall, that's a strategy overall. How do we protect our community in the sense of being impacted by the others, right? But then that comes into different things. It can come into the area plan where maybe some of your zoning, maybe you emphasize some of those things that you want as a community and it protects you. And the other side, it can come into on the side of the 3 to 5 year plan where maybe you enhance some of the things like parks, right? One of the things that Dr. Vaca was doing with the school, right? He's creating the opportunity for the school to be a place where people can congregate. So how do you kind of have that blend, right? where you're not being impacted and putting businesses out, but at the same time, down the road, how do you continue to make this a beautiful place for families and for children and stuff like that? Any other comments? So here's what we're going to do. Go ahead. No, we hear you on that. I know. There is a traffic light, as you know, planned coming in, phase 2. Yeah. No, no.
People that are in the community, and that is a big, 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 big concern for people right now. I mean, we live every single day on that road, going to town, coming back. It's huge. It's huge for us. What is the plan? When is that stoplight going in? Are they going to start renting? And
The
then put
plan
stoplight in?
originally, Gene, it's always been on the plan. It's going to go in on phase 2. The first
Why
phase
in
of
the
units
world would you-
didn't require a light because it wasn't enough units, according to Caltrans. So phase 2 requires a light, and they haven't started phase 2. So phase 1, until it's completely
Right,
occupied,
haven't started
is-
phase 2. The whole thing,
No.
I've seen the map on all the phases.
Yeah.
They're all being under construction right now.
until it's occupied. And
Until
it's not
someone
under
gets
construction. There's
killed on
still,
the street, and
there's
then
still
they'll
a
say-
second half further back that they haven't even started.
So, Tyler and community, we hear you loud and clear that this is a concern. It sounds like we need to understand what the timeline is for these items, what the plan is for the different phases, what's the traffic plan for ingress, egress. We will bring out a team to a future meeting and agendize that so that you guys can see what that plan is and try to better understand, ask questions around the impact to the community at that point in time. But the team that's here today, we don't have those details for you, but we'll make sure that we bring them to the next
Well,
one.
here's the main concern, I don't want to sound like I'm harping on this, but it's happening right now. They're going to rent soon. There'll be extra traffic going on that street. It's already slippery and muddy mess right there where, as you go around the corner, it's always been that way for Somis residents who go daily to Camarillo. It should not even have one single unit rented before that's complete. The stoplight, the extra lanes, the turn lanes, everything. And I can't imagine why that's not the case. I can't even imagine. And then come here, we're concerned, we've been concerned. Oh, there's a plan. It'll happen, we'll let you know. It's happening right now. It needs to be addressed. It needs to happen now.
Definitely.
Not, we'll tell you about it later.
No, you're absolutely right. This isn't the team that constructed that project, and we're not trying to pass the buck. We want to make sure that we bring the right folks to answer your questions, and you have very reasonable questions too. Let's bring the full team together. Caltrans may be a part of it. Yeah.
You keep talking about a team. It's not your team that approved the project. It's a state project.
Right.
So what team are you going to bring? The state?
Right. So
Because you're offering to bring a team, and we've been down this road for four years on this project.
Yeah.
And our previous supervisor, in Jeff's defense, was a big reason why that's there. She sold everybody down the river like she does every time she opens her mouth. And that's a state deal. It was locked. The county has nothing to do with it.
Right.
So we shouldn't offer to bring a team that isn't going to do
No,
anything about it.
No, but we can bring Caltrans out. I think there was a request from
Yeah, but-
Mr. Fulkerson earlier to bring Caltrans out on some other issues. So this could be some of the discussion with them specifically as it pertains to that. But
You know, to bring this back to the planning part, this is part of what happens when you have to be reactive. We not all agree. Part of the reason why this came about of being proactive is then that's the very specific reason why the area plan was brought up. Right now, other communities have area plans that limit things or specify, and right now, Somis does not have that. That's a weakness.
Israel, we have SOAR, which says you can't do that. The state superseded it. There's nothing you
SOAR
can do.
SOAR had a provision built in there by a previous group, previous administration for farm housing. So, but what we can do is we don't want to be reactive. Would everyone agree to that? Okay? You've got to take this into control, and this is part of why we're here. We have the supervisor here. We have listened to you. You guys have asked us. We got one of the very first requests we had was on Balcom. We did that. We got the enhancements put in for the school. We're working on an express library. So here's, hold on. Here's a reason why the plan. If you run a company, you run an organization, and you're being reactive, you're going to be impacted in a negative way. There are things that are coming your way that are not always going to be positive. But what the purpose of this tonight is to try to be proactive, try to put in as many protective measures as you can, try to hang on to what you have in a way that has been here for a long time, that represents the soul of this community. So the purpose of planning is to try, we have a supervisor who's right there. He has asked us, as our staff and our team, he's created a customer-oriented, constituent-oriented ethos. Our job, my job, as I work for him, is to listen to your concerns. The purpose of this plan was to start putting that in more of a formal process, not just there's potholes or we're dealing with this, to try to get ahead of it. It's not going to always be perfect. That's just like when you run a business. There's things that are going to hit you. But operating without a plan makes no sense. And your chair, Pat Richards, was absolutely correct in that starting that conversation with an area plan. Does that make sense? But it's not going to happen.
Well, may I say something?
Yeah.
At the last meeting, you brought up the fact that there was a new cell tower that was going to go in on a hill in Thousand Oaks.
No, an existing
It was an existing one.
Yeah.
Okay. And the area plan that was developed over there, did that have an impact in terms of what
It did.
happened?
So
Okay,
in that
you
case,
want to go ahead and explain that?
okay. So thank you. So in that case, there is an existing cell tower called Rasnow Peak. It houses antennas on there that operate a lot of our emergency response, fire, sheriff, as well as ham radio operators in case there's it's also cell towers. It was being impacted. This is how I found out how your area plan can supersede and trump the general plan, is that there was an ordinance in there limiting the height of the towers. As the permit came up again, it was going to impact those towers. So we were able to be proactive as a team, and the supervisor recognizing this and listening to the first responders saying this is an issue. He stepped into it right away and put forth a measure to change that ordinance in the area plan so that the community would not be impacted. I will tell you this straight up. That would not have been the viewpoint of the previous administration, okay? And so you have a supervisor, and I'm very proud to work for him, that we have the ability to take these issues and we do something about it. And we have listened to you, and we've put a number of things in place already for you. And we've done it not just in here, but other communities. But this is your chance. This is an opportunity for you guys to do what you're able to do as a town, as a community.
Yes, it did, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if it's clear to the community that I think what Israel's,
So there was an area plan, there's a Thousand Oaks area plan, and in that plan, they limited the height of the towers to 40 feet. Rasnow Peak operates at 100, the tower is 150 feet. At 150 feet, it provides line of sight to all the other towers throughout the entire county. On broadband particularly, it's very important that you have height and you have separation so you don't have interference from other towers. By limiting that, I'll give you an example. Let's just make this, the Thomas fires, the Hill fire, the Canyon fire, all of those were monitored by cameras that are fed, the feed is fed by Rasnow. So they were able to deploy resources where necessary to get ahead of the fire. At 40 feet, broadband doesn't work. So it was a bad ordinance put into the area plan. But the problem was the area plan supersedes the general plan. So if you didn't have a supervisor that wasn't willing to go to battle and to change that, you have a major problem that you have in communicating and in impacting and responding to emergencies. So,
Israel, you've said a few times now, the area plan supersedes the general plan.
it does.
Does the area plan supersede the general plan? Where does SOAR fit
So
into
there
that?
is a blending. The area plan also has to blend with certain ordinances of the general plan.
Yeah. There's always a catch. Where's SOAR in that?
Well, SOAR is part of the general plan.
It's baked into the general plan, but because it's voter supported, it can only be undone by voters.
So in the case that we're talking about with farm worker housing, no matter what kind of an area plan we come up with, we're not going to put a stop to that without SOAR being revoted.
We wouldn't be able to put a stop necessarily to that farm worker housing. What we could do is create an area plan that is consistent with your values and might prevent something in the future, that international airport, to use the most extreme crazy idea, but I mean, if you won't be able to affect the outcome of the farm worker housing,
Or-
but future things.
Or take the farm worker housing out now, because it's going to be hard to get more farm worker housing since that's going to meet way more than the need is. But just a state-funded housing project, which are popping up all over the state right now that are superseding all SOAR-type ordinances throughout the state. The state's coming in and just saying, that doesn't matter what you voted on, we're putting housing projects in because we have free money from the feds, and we're going to start building houses.
Actually, it also in SOAR itself, we provide voters, there is a farm worker housing section.
No, I'm saying non-farm worker housing, just housing.
That, I haven't seen that yet. In Ventura County, they write legislative, an active legislature could create mandates, and they have.
It, just yesterday, Newsom signed a new one that they're buying up hotels in areas and turning them into housing. And in those general plans of those areas, it does not allow for high-rise housing, but the state's coming in and superseding that plan. So no matter if we have an area plan or not, Sacramento doesn't seem to care when it comes to housing.
It's not like somebody comes down from Sacramento and looks at Somis and says, we're gonna put something right there. That's a decision at the local level, but they could mandate you do certain number of units or create certain kind of waivers for a particular project. They're not gonna dictate where it goes, they're gonna do that at the local.
Where most of this is coming from is very intelligent individuals that own land in Somis that are taking this to Sacramento and pushing their agenda to get this done because it's very lucrative.
I'll just say, if the guy that's building down here is about 50 acres, and he's gonna do it again. Right here next door. So, how does this county,
No.
the state's gonna come in and do it? The state's not gonna come to us, you're right, he's gonna go to the state.
Well, he'll come to the county and ask for the conduct.
He didn't on this one. He went straight to the state. By the time it showed up at the county, it was done. 100% approved.
I don't know the history, that's helpful for me because I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
And it just so happens that a few $1 million went to a wildlife bridge that somebody wanted. And so it really got expresswayed through by the same guy. Politics.
Okay. There is still value, and I think you guys have seen this. You guys have come up with some really good ideas. The next meeting, we're going to do town hall style. That's what we're going to do as part of the planning as we continue this. That was one of the things that Mr. Fulkerson came up with. And so this dialogue is still important. Again, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have so many things, then you're going to always be reactive. There are anomalies. There's things that we may not be able to do stuff about, but there are things that we can still do things about. And those are things that we need to have in this plan and hear from you guys. But it has to also be broad-based. It can't just be us up here. Does this make sense? Okay, so please take these home. The next time we have this, we'll be announcing, we'll have a section of this where we'll come back together. I'll probably put some tables together instead of just the chair format where we can sit around some tables. And we can also begin to talk about what the next step in terms of putting this towards a plan. Mr. Chair? Thank you guys for your time. And then if you can keep those, but bring them back the next time. You have my email, israel.rodriguez@ventura.org. I can send this out to your neighbors. We'll also be putting that out on social media and on the website.
Are we done? Okay. Next meeting is December 13th, right here, same time, same place, same amount of fun. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Jack, Tyler seconds?
Jennifer second.
Jennifer seconds. Hey, that's a JJ.